The doctor slipped me a piece of paper that said, "Don't go home. Get away." That evening, I found out my own family was scheming to put me in a care facility and take everything I owned. But there was something they didn't know. I had a secret that would turn their lives upside down forever. My name is Harold Mitchell, and I'm 72 years old. For 45 years, I believed I had raised a devoted son. Marcus entered my life when he was only 2 years old, an abandoned child that my late wife Patricia and I took in and adopted. We gave him everything with all the love we had in our hearts: education, support, and years of sacrifice. When Patricia passed away 10 years ago from cancer, Marcus became my only family, along with his wife Jessica and my grandson Ethan. But that Tuesday, during what should have been a routine doctor's appointment, my world collapsed. Dr. Catherine Hayes, my trusted physician of many years, examined me as she always did. But something about her demeanor seemed off. Her hands trembled slightly as she checked my blood pressure, and she avoided direct eye contact. "Everything looks excellent, Mr. Mitchell," she said, her voice strained. "Your labs are perfect. Your heart is strong as an ox. You have many good years ahead of you." As I got up to leave, I felt her approach from behind. Suddenly, while I was reaching for my jacket, Dr. Hayes discreetly slipped a folded piece of paper into my coat pocket. She did it so quickly that I almost didn't notice. "Take good care, Mr. Mitchell," she said with a forced smile. "And remember, family isn't always what it seems." Her words sent a chill down my spine. What did she mean by that? Why had she given me that note so secretly? I left the office with my heart pounding, but I decided not to read the note until I got home. During the cab ride, 1,000 thoughts crossed my mind. Dr. Hayes had never acted so strangely. She was a serious, professional woman who had known my family since Marcus was a teenager. Why would she be giving me secret messages now? When I arrived at the house, Marcus was in the living room with Jessica and Ethan. The three of them were talking in hushed tones, but they abruptly fell silent when they saw me. Jessica had several papers in her hands that she quickly hid behind her back. "How was your doctor's appointment, Dad?" Marcus asked, his smile not reaching his eyes. "Everything's fine, son." "The doctor said I'm in perfect health," I replied, trying to sound normal. Jessica exchanged a look with Marcus that didn't go unnoticed. Why did they seem so disappointed? Were they hoping the doctor would tell me I was sick? "That's great, Grandpa," Ethan said, but his voice sounded strangely cold. "It means you have plenty of time left to enjoy yourself." That night at dinner, I noticed my family was acting very strange. Marcus barely spoke to me. Jessica answered in monosyllables, and Ethan avoided my gaze. There was a tension in the air you could cut with a knife. "Is something wrong?" I finally asked. "No, Dad. Everything's fine," Marcus replied quickly. "We're just tired." After dinner, I went to my room with a heavy heart. Something was definitely going on, and the doctor's note was starting to make sense. With trembling hands, I took the paper from my coat pocket and unfolded it. What I read took my breath away. "Mr. Mitchell, your family was here yesterday. Jessica asked me about your mental state and if I could certify that you need special care. They want to put you in a nursing home. They also asked about your inheritance and assets. Don't go home. Run. Dr. Hayes?" My hands began to shake uncontrollably. My own family, the son I raised with so much love, the daughter-in-law I treated like my own child, my grandson who was always my pride and joy. Suddenly it all made sense. The strange looks, the whispers, the hidden papers, they weren't disappointed because I was in good health. They were furious because the doctor hadn't cooperated with their plans. I couldn't sleep that night. Every noise in the house startled me. I lay awake, listening, trying to understand how I had reached this point. How was it possible that the family for whom I had sacrificed everything was now conspiring against me? At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard voices in the kitchen. I got up stealthily and crept toward my bedroom door. I could clearly hear Marcus, Jessica, and Ethan talking in low voices, but loud enough for me to understand every word. "The damn doctor wouldn't cooperate," Jessica said with irritation. I explained to her that the old man is losing his mind, that he sometimes doesn't recognize anyone, that he leaves the stove on, but she insisted he's perfectly fine. "Relax, my love," Marcus replied. "We'll find another doctor, one who's willing to sign the papers we need." "But what do we do with him in the meantime?" Ethan asked. "I already booked my spot at the college in California. I need that money now, not in 5 years when he finally dies of old age." "Ethan, don't talk like that," Marcus scolded, though without much conviction. "You have a point, though. We need to act fast. The house is worth almost $500,000, and with his pension and savings, we could live comfortably until he dies." "Until he dies," Jessica finished coldly. "Look, I didn't marry into this family to take care of a senile old man. I married you because I thought you'd inherit soon, but it's been 10 years and he's still here, spending our money." "Our money," I repeated silently, feeling rage start to grow in my chest. All my money, earned with my and Patricia's sweat, they saw as their own. "Tomorrow I'm going to talk to the lawyer," Marcus continued. "I'm going to ask if we can have him declared incompetent without a doctor. There has to be a way." "And if that doesn't work," Jessica added, "we can always make his life impossible until he decides to go to a nursing home himself. Take away his TV, don't cook for him, treat him like what he is, a burden." "Mom, don't be so cruel," Ethan said. But then he added, "Though the truth is, I'm already tired of pretending to care about him. He's always there, butting into our conversations, asking why we're out so late. It's insufferable." My legs began to tremble. I leaned against the wall, feeling my world crumbling around me. These were the people for whom I had worked 18-hour days when Marcus was little, for whom I had given up my dreams, my friendships, my own life. "Remember my 16th birthday?" Ethan continued. "He bought me that horrible leather jacket and forced me to wear it. All my friends laughed at me. From that day on, I swore I'd get him back someday. And what bothers me the most," Jessica added, "is that he's always bragging about what a good father he was, about all he sacrificed for Marcus, as if he were a saint. But the truth is, he adopted him because he and Patricia couldn't have their own kids. He used him to fill his emptiness." "Enough already," Marcus said. But his voice sounded tired, not indignant. "Look, in a week I'm going to talk to him. I'll tell him we found a very nice nursing home, that it would be better for him to be with people his own age. And if he refuses, we'll use Plan B." "What's Plan B?" Ethan asked. "We make him really lose his mind," Marcus replied coldly. "We switch his medications. We hide his things. We tell him he did things he didn't do. In a month, any doctor will certify that he's mentally ill." The horror of his words hit me like a punch. Not only did they want to rob me, they wanted to destroy my mind, my dignity, my sanity. They wanted to turn me into what they claimed I already was. "It's perfect," Jessica said, excited. "And once he's committed, we'll have access to all his accounts. We can sell the house, collect his pension, and dispose of everything without anyone bothering us." "Exactly," Marcus confirmed. "And the best part is that no one will suspect a thing. To the outside world, we're the perfect family, lovingly taking care of a sick grandfather. They laughed. The three of them laughed as if they had told the best joke in the world. They laughed at me, at my naivety, at my unconditional love for them. In that moment, something inside me broke. It wasn't my heart that had already been shattered since I read the doctor's note. What broke was my blind faith in goodness, my belief that love is always reciprocated, my conviction that family is sacred. First thing in the morning, I'm going to make copies of all his cards, Jessica whispered. That way we can spend a little at a time without him noticing. Great, Marcus approved. And I'm going to go through all his papers. There has to be a will somewhere that we can modify.
Modify how? Ethan asked. Let's just say that Grandpa, in his mental confusion, decided to leave everything to us because we're the only ones who care for him, Marcus explained with a smile in his voice. Dad, you're a genius, Ethan said admiringly, but we have to be careful. What if someone suspects something? No one's going to suspect anything, Jessica reassured him. He has no friends, no family besides us. He's a lonely old man who is completely dependent on us. Who's going to defend him? They were right. I had no close friends. I had lost touch with most of them when I dedicated myself completely to taking care of Marcus after Patricia died. I had no siblings. My parents had passed away years ago. I was completely vulnerable. But what they didn't know, what they had never bothered to find out, was that I had a secret that would completely change the balance of power in this situation. When Patricia died, she left me with more than just love and memories. She left me with an inheritance I had kept hidden all these years. $2.4 million in an offshore bank account that only I knew about, in addition to 3 properties overseas that she had bought as investments. I never told Marcus about it because I wanted to be sure he loved me for who I was, not for what I had. I wanted him to build his own life, to be independent. But now I realized I had been a fool. He had never loved me. He had just been patiently waiting for me to die so he could inherit the little he thought I had. Well, Marcus said finally, I think we're all clear. Tomorrow we put the plan in motion, and remember, in front of him, we have to keep being the loving family we've always been. Of course, Jessica replied. I'm an excellent actress. I can fake loving him for a little while longer. I heard their footsteps retreating toward their rooms. I stayed there, frozen, with the doctor's note clutched in my hand. She was right. I had to run, but I wasn't going to run like a scared victim. I was going to run like a man who had just woken up from a 45-year-long dream. I was going to run to plan the most perfect revenge they could ever imagine. I spent the rest of the night planning. I didn't sleep for a minute, but for the first time in months, I felt completely awake. I knew I had to act fast and intelligently. They had underestimated the senile old man, but they would soon discover they had woken up the wrong person. At 5 o'clock in the morning, when I was sure everyone was asleep, I silently took out my smallest suitcase and packed only the essentials. Personal documents, a few changes of clothes, my medications, and most importantly, the little notebook where I had written down all the details of my secret accounts. Before leaving, I decided to do something that would give me an advantage in the future. I took out my phone and activated the voice recorder. Then I pretended I had forgotten something and walked back through the house, making sure to pass near Marcus and Jessica's room. As I expected, they were already awake, whispering about their plans for the day. Jessica was talking about making copies of my cards, while Marcus mentioned his appointment with the lawyer to ask about the declaration of incompetence. Do you think he suspects anything? Jessica asked, worried. Impossible, Marcus replied. He's too old and trusting. Besides, what could he do? He has nowhere to go. He has no money of his own. He has no friends. We're all he has. It's pathetic, Jessica added with contempt. A 72-year-old man who is completely dependent on us. Sometimes I feel sorry for him, but then I remember he chose this life. He could have remarried after Patricia died, but he chose to stay here being the perfect grandfather. And now he's going to pay for that decision, Marcus concluded coldly. Perfect. I had recorded enough material to sync them. After that, I put the phone away and finished getting ready to leave. I left a note on the kitchen table that said, "Gone to run some errands. I'll be back later. Harold." I knew they wouldn't suspect a thing. After all, a senile old man going on a strategic escape wasn't a possibility they had considered. I took a cab to the nearest bank. It was Wednesday morning, and I knew I had a few hours before my family would realize something was wrong. At the bank, I withdrew a considerable amount of cash and verified that my secret accounts were intact. The teller, a young man named Derek, looked at me with curiosity when I asked to withdraw $5,000 in cash. "Are you sure, sir? That's a considerable amount to carry around in cash," he said with genuine concern. "Completely sure," I replied firmly. "I have some personal matters to take care of." After the bank, I took another cab to the most elegant hotel in the city. I knew I needed a place where I would feel safe while planning my next moves. The Grand Imperial Hotel was perfect, discreet, comfortable, and with services that would allow me to maintain my privacy. "How long will you be staying with us?" the receptionist, an elegant man in his 40s, asked me. "I'm not sure," I replied. "It could be a week, it could be several months, it depends on how certain family matters unfold." He nodded with professional understanding and assigned me a suite on the 10th floor. As I went up in the elevator, I felt a mix of terror and excitement. For the first time in decades, I was making decisions just for myself. The suite was beautiful, spacious, with a view of the city, elegantly decorated, and equipped with everything I needed. I sat on the living room sofa and, for the first time since the night before, allowed my emotions to overwhelm me. I cried. I cried for the 45 years I had dedicated to raising a son who saw me as an obstacle. I cried for the humiliations I had endured without realizing it. I cried for the man I had been before I became the perfect grandfather they despised. But after crying, I wiped away my tears and began to plan. I took out my notebook and started making a list of everything I needed to do. First, contact my financial advisors overseas to activate my accounts. Second, hire the best lawyer in the city. Third, find a private investigator who could help me document everything my family had done and was planning to do. At 2:00 in the afternoon, my phone started to ring. It was Marcus. "Dad, where are you?" "It's 2:00 in the afternoon and you haven't come back." His voice sounded worried, but I could detect the irritation beneath the concern. "I'm fine, son," I replied calmly. "I decided to take a day for myself. It's been a long time since I did that." "A day for yourself? What does that mean? Where exactly are you now?" His voice was clearly annoyed. "I'm in the city taking care of some things I needed to do," I lied partially. "Don't worry. I'll be back when I'm finished." Dad, this isn't like you. You always let us know where you're going. Jessica is worried, and so is Ethan. We need to know where you are. For the first time in years, I detected something in his voice that surprised me. Panic. He wasn't worried about my well-being. He was worried because he had lost control over me. You know what, Marcus? I said, with a calmness that surprised me. I'm 72 years old. I think I'm old enough to make my own decisions about where to go and what to do. There was a silence on the other end of the line. Dad, you're scaring me. You don't sound like yourself. Are you taking your medications? He asked. And in that question, I could hear the beginning of their strategy. He was already planting the seed that I was not mentally well. I'm perfectly fine, son. I've never been better, I replied and hung up. I immediately turned off my phone. I knew they would call me obsessively, and I needed peace to do what I had to do. That afternoon, I hired the most prestigious law firm in the city. The head attorney, a woman in her 50s named Victoria Bradford, received me personally when I mentioned the amount of money I was willing to pay for her services. I need complete legal protection, I explained. My family is trying to have me declared incompetent to take control of my assets, but I have recordings that prove it's a conspiracy. Ms. Bradford listened carefully as I played the recordings I had made that morning. Her expression grew more and more serious. Mr. Mitchell, this is very serious, she said finally. What your family is planning constitutes elder abuse, conspiracy to commit fraud, and potentially forgery of documents. We could prosecute them criminally. That's exactly what I want, I replied with determination. But I need to do it strategically. I want them to pay, but I want it to be in the most painful way possible for them. Ms. Bradford smiled. It was the smile of someone who had found a case she liked. Mr. Mitchell, I think you and I are going to work very well together, she said. I'm going to assign my best team to your case, but I need you to tell me everything. Absolutely everything. I told her about adopting Marcus, about Patricia, about the years of sacrifice, about the secret inheritance, about everything. Ms. Bradford took notes carefully. Do you know exactly how much money you have in your secret accounts? She asked me. $2.4 million in cash, plus 3 properties overseas that are worth approximately $1.6 million more, I replied. Ms. Bradford stopped writing and looked at me with renewed respect. Mr. Mitchell, you're not just a victim of family abuse. You are a very powerful man who has been underestimated by your family. We are going to use that power to teach them the lesson of their lives. For the first time in days, I smiled genuinely. The war had begun, but now I had the right weapons.